Swadika, thank you for joining us on Newsline. We're broadcasting live on NBT Radio Thailand FM 88 and on NBT World. It's a Tuesday and the date is February 16th, and you're with me, Sandra Hanutsaha. In today's segment of Thailand Moves Forward, our first story concerns Thai delegates who have traveled to Rancho Mirage in California of the United States of America to take part in a U.S.-hosted summit with the leaders of ASEAN. Thailand has placed great importance on the gathering as it hopes to forge partnerships with the U.S. in a range of dimensions, from security to economics and sustainable development. As a member of ASEAN, Thailand is looking to enhance ties with the U.S. and, in turn, with other world powers. The U.S. made known that it has set up the meeting as part of its rebalancing towards Asia, as it looks to play a bigger role in the region. Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha is leading the Thai delegation to the summit, which kicked off with talks on economic matters such as regional innovations and business ties. He is to meet U.S. President Barack Obama when the latter holds a working dinner at the end of the first day. The second day of talks is to focus on security matters in the Asia-Pacific region. Director General of the Department of ASEAN Affairs, Dr. Siwali, said that summit is to end with the signing of the Sunnyland Principle by all ASEAN leaders. While at the meeting, the Thai government will aim to reassert the conclusions of the latest ASEAN summit, which includes sustainable development, security cooperation, and increased awareness of ASEAN in the U.S. It is also likely to discuss the issue of terrorism and related challenges, with the Prime Minister to suggest increased sharing of intelligence between the U.S. and ASEAN. Deputy Prime Minister Somkit Jatusipitak has expressed satisfaction with the Thai Airways International's efforts to improve performance and instructed the company to develop long-term plans for the next 5 and 10 years. The Deputy Premier inspected the performance of the national airline and said the company's report showed that it has successfully executed a rehabilitation plan resulting in better performance. He claimed that the airline has hit its lowest point and from now on would start to grow. Mr. Somkit emphasized that the company had to enhance its efficiency to compete with other airlines. The national carrier was also told to operate new routes, especially those which connect Thailand with major cities in Asia, in order to attract tourists. The Deputy Premier instructed the company to submit its long-term plan to the State Enterprise Board within 2 months. The plan is expected to help increase tourist arrivals to Thailand. Meanwhile, Thai Airways International President Jarampon Chotikasatian expressed confidence that the company had already passed a critical period and it was now ready to be ASEAN's leading airline in support of Thai tourism growth in the future. The Ministry of Transport has met with related agencies and airlines in a bid to address issues in Thai aviation while ordering Nok Air to explain the recent strike of its pilots, which led to several flight cancellations. Deputy Transport Minister Omsin Chiwapruk convened an urgent meeting with the Civil Aviation Authority of Thailand, Department of Airports, of the Airports of Thailand Public Company Limited, or AOT, Aeronautical Radio of Thailand Company Limited, and 13 airlines providing domestic services. The meeting was aimed at laying down new aviation guidelines as well as measures to deal with future problems. The discussion was prompted by the cancellation of 9 different flights of Nok Air on February 14th, which left passengers stranded at airports. The issue was brought up at the meeting. However, no representatives from Nok Air were present. Mr. Omsin announced that Nok Air is required to submit clarifications on the matter within 3 days. Meanwhile, Nok Air's CEO, Pati Sarasin, has come out to apologize for the incident, saying the airline will take full responsibility for it. He pointed out that the flight cancellations were staged by a group of pilots who went on strike over the company's adjustment of the criteria of pilots in compliance with international standards. The adjustment has reportedly caused them to be underqualified for the job. The government has been expediting its effort to eradicate illegal fishing in Thailand by updating relevant laws and making improvements to the Fishing Vessel Monitoring System, or VMS. Agriculture and Cooperatives Minister General Chathai Sarikanya said that laws regarding fisheries have been amended to align with the international standards. They cover issues involving illegal, unreported, and unregulated, or IUU fishing, as well as fishing activities that occur beyond Thai waters. A plan has also been developed to improve the VMS program. The scheme will double as a guideline for the authorities to suppress IUU fishing activities. Landings will be inspected and examined by the Department of Fisheries and the Customs Department to ensure that fish and crustaceans are illegally sourced. Thailand has also introduced 39 newly established ports for foreign fishing vessels within the region. A handbook will be published on seafood inspection, as well as how to obtain fishing and seafood licenses to raise awareness among fishers and boat operators. The National Malaria Eradication Administration Commission has established new strategies to prevent the spread of malaria and approved a budget of 2.3 billion baht as monetary aid, that is, from the World Health Organization, or WHO, is set to conclude this year. Deputy Prime Minister Admiral Narong Pipathanasai disclosed the conclusions of a recent meeting of the Commission, letting on that the 2.3 billion baht budget will be dispersed over a 5-year period. The new budget is meant to replace the 211 million baht provided by the WHO each year to Thailand for combating malaria. The funds will no longer be provided after this year, as the nation's revenue status has been upgraded. The Commission's new strategy against malaria will focus on stopping its spread, as the disease is relatively under control in the kingdom. The body has targeted complete eradication of the illness within the next 10 years. It has also tasked the National Science and Technology Development Agency and the National Research Council of Thailand to work on a cure for the ailment. On the emerging Zika virus, the Department of Disease Control has assured that it is monitoring the situation and will be able to control its spread. It has asked Thai citizens not to travel to countries with known Zika epidemics and for authorities to stringently screen arrivals to the kingdom. The Ministry of Science and Technology is accelerating its efforts to utilize research developments regarding the elimination of mosquitoes to reduce the incidence of dengue fever. Spokesperson for the Ministry of Science and Technology, Narong Sirilet Warakun, spoke of research efforts to reduce mosquitoes, such as radiation sterilization. This would in turn reduce the number of mosquito-borne diseases such as dengue fever, Zika fever, and chikungunya. In another development, the National Science and Technology Development Agency, or NSTDA, has produced a bacteria called BTI, which can hamper the development of mosquito larvae more effectively than the widely used abate powder. In addition, the NSTDA has provided funding for the development of alternative vaccines, such as milder dosages or vaccines with different DNA characteristics, which are currently being tested on animals. The National Reform Steering Assembly, or NRSA, has determined that the oil fund must be reformed to ensure transparency and energy stability. Member of the NRSA's Committee on Energy Reform, Prapad Kongiyat, said there must be reform of the fund because it plays a vital role in regulating oil prices, which have a vast impact on the well-being of the people. His statement was heard during the NRSA's meeting related to the oil fund and the Draft Oil Fund Act. Mr. Prapad said that reforms of the oil fund would help clarify its usage and ensure it promotes energy stability and the efficiency of the energy system in the country in such a way that is fair to all consumer groups. He added that it is necessary for the country to have a law to govern the oil fund containing such details as the fund's role and its management policies. The Constitution Drafting Commission, or CDC, has announced that it has already received feedback related to the new draft charter from many parties and organizations. CDC Chairman Michai Ruchupan said that several parties and groups, including independent organizations and political parties, have submitted their suggestions concerning the draft constitution to the Commission. Mr. Michai said that all suggestions are now being processed and sorted by officers. He added that adjustments to the draft charter will be made one article at a time and will take into consideration the context and the logistics. The CDC chairman went on to say that suggestions that do not require an overhaul of the entire draft will more likely be applied, while those that need the charter drafters to start over may not be possible, as there is not much time left for renewed deliberations. The National Economic and Social Development Board, or NESDB, has reported that Thailand's GDP grew 2.8% in the fourth quarter of 2015, following increased household spending and investment by the private sector. The NESDB said that Thai export growth in the fourth quarter of 2015 was minus 7.9%, due to an economic slowdown in Thailand's trade partners, as well as decreasing global oil and agricultural prices. The average GDP growth rate in 2015 was 2.8%, an increase from 0.8% in 2014. As for exports, last year's overall growth was minus 5.6%. The NESDB asserted that Thai economic stability was still strong, with a current account surplus of 8.9% of GDP. The board predicted that Thai economic growth in 2016 would fall between 2.8% to 3.8% due to the government's increased spending and investment. Positive factors this year included the baht's depreciation, cheap oil prices, and expanding tourism. However, the NESDB warned that Thailand should keep a close watch on the slow global economic recovery. And that is the end of today's edition of Thailand Moves Forward. Up next in ASEAN News, the Department of Land Transport has reported that the ASEAN Economic Community has allowed for greater freedom of travel between ASEAN member countries by private car. But first, here's a look at the exchange rates and the commodity prices.
Office of the Auditor General of Thailand is proud to celebrate its 100th anniversary with two great events of honesty and integrity. The 50th meeting of the ASOSAI Governing Board, followed by an international symposium on national integrity system, will be held February 15 to the 19th, 2016 in Chiang Mai Province. The people of Chiang Mai and the Kingdom of Thailand extend their greatest wishes for a successful and fruitful week of exchange and collaboration.
Fish would come to us. The world has turned, and now we must travel far on the ocean free. Moments pass, left only sky and sea. So sail on unto the ocean's breast. The sailor's test is sun and storm is high, but never tide should gifts of bounty fill the trawler still. I dance in thanks to thee.
Welcome back to Newsline, and here's a look at some ASEAN news. The Department of Land Transport, or DLT, has made known that the formation of the ASEAN Economic Community has allowed for the simplification of regulations on traveling by private car between neighboring ASEAN countries. DLT Deputy Director General Dirut Wisandik explained that Thai citizens can apply for an automobile passport that would allow them to use their private car to cross the border into the kingdom's neighbors. At present, Lao PDR and Cambodia have allowed the issuance of the passports to both sedans and pickup trucks, while Vietnam only allows pickup trucks to apply for the pass. Other ASEAN countries are currently brainstorming applicable regulations. Drivers are advised that they must also possess their vehicle registration alongside car passports while traveling abroad. The DLT is currently drafting regulations to allow temporary usage of automobiles from other ASEAN nations in the kingdom. And elsewhere in the world, Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif urged for a, quote, cessation of hostilities in Syria as agreed by world powers in Munich at an annual security conference. Zarif said, quote, "What we agreed in Munich is cessation of hostilities, not a pause, to allow the allies of certain regional players to regroup, and that is extremely important," end quote. His criticism was directed at Iran's foe, Saudi Arabia, as he met with EU Foreign Policy Chief Federica Mogherini in Brussels. Sunni power Saudi Arabia opposes Syrian President Bashar al-Assad as well as Islamic State. Riyadh has said it was ready to participate in a ground operation in Syria if the U.S.-led coalition fighting Islamic State there decides to start one. The Iranian foreign minister also denied that backers of Assad, which include Tehran, were using the revived diplomacy around Syria as a cover to pushing for more military advances on the ground. Russia, Damascus's main foreign ally, has yet to stop its airstrikes, which support the advance of government troops and allied militias on Syria's largest city, Aleppo. The director of a prison in northeast Mexico, where 49 people died in a riot this week, was accused of murder and detained along with 2 others. Nuevo Leon's prosecutor, Roberto Flores, reported that the prison warden, Gregoria Salazar, and the deputy superintendent, Jesus Fernando Dominguez, were accused of homicide and abuse of authority and placed in preventive custody. The riot, which is likely the deadliest in Mexico's history, happened in the old and crowded Topo Chico prison in Monterrey, in the state of Nuevo Leon, just days ahead of a planned visit by Pope Francis to another jail in Mexico's far north. The riot started when fighting broke out in 2 areas of the Topo Chico prison between supporters of a gang leader known as Zeta 27 and another group. The prison has long housed members of the feared Zetas drug cartel, who many believed controlled it. For much of the last decade, the Zetas spread fear across Mexico before being debilitated by arrests and the deaths of their founding members. The gang was also linked to another prison murder in Nuevo Leon in 2012, when 44 inmates died after Zetas members plotted with guards to stage an elaborate escape. Britain's Prime Minister David Cameron embarked on a final push for support in Europe for a deal to help keep Britain in the EU and met with French President François Hollande in Paris. The 28 European Union heads of state and government are set to debate a draft deal brokered by summit chairman Donald Tusk at a conference in Brussels on Thursday. The draft accord won initial backing from fellow national leaders who will try to iron out remaining differences during the summit. Shortly after, journalists were invited to leave the meeting room. Hollande told Cameron the meeting was necessary, but also a source of tension. If the 28 leaders agree to a deal, Cameron is expected to call the referendum and campaign to stay in a reformed European Union. The precise legal form of the accord is still under discussion, but EU and British officials say it would have the force of a binding international treaty. Cameron has said Tusk's current offer will give Britain the ability to reduce immigration from the rest of the EU, protect its sterling-based finance industry from being disadvantaged by the majority of EU states in the Eurozone, and ensure Britain's right not to be drawn deeper into a political union in Europe. The Thai National Committee on Irrigation and Drainage is inviting members of the public to take part in a slogan contest under the theme of Water Management in a Changing World, Role of Irrigation for Sustainable Food Production. The slogan must be in both English and Thai and should be sent to sloganwif2016@gmail.com no later than February 24th of 2016. The winner will be announced on February 29th of 2016 and will receive 20,000 baht in prize money along with a certificate. So for more information, visit worldwideweb.rid.go.th/Thai Thai ICID. And that's it for today's edition of Newsline. If you have any comments or suggestions, feel free to email them to us at newsline.nbt@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook by simply typing in NNT, and check out our website at thainews.prd.go.th/en. We say goodbye today with footage of New York-based designer Tommy Hilfiger's fall collection. For Newsline, I'm Sandra Han Utsaha. Have a great day. สวัสดีค่ะ